What up, YouTube? Perfection is no small thing, but it's made up of small things. It's your boys, Detroit Love, P-Dubs Arcade Love, Michael B. the Game Genie, and Restalgia with another episode of the Super Game Room Dudes. Friday night just got live.
Wow, fantastic. Carl, thanks as always for a killer intro. What's so funny, Mike?
He's got to have some kind of like quote of the day calendar or something. And he's just like, how am I going to start the show tonight? Perfection.
Yeah, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good though, aren't they? Like,
where do you get these, good. Carl?
Just pull them out the ether.
They just come to me.
Well, guys, we are very, very excited. Happy Friday. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to the Super Game Room Dudes, one of your favorite arcade and gaming podcast shows. And we have another fantastic special event episode for you tonight. Seated immediately to my left, your right, Ben Grant is here from Numskull. Ben, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. Welcome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Greatly happy to have you on. This is the first time anyone from Numskull has ever been on our podcast show, so we greatly appreciate it. And what I really, really liked about Ben, guys, before we went live, you know what he said to us? He said, don't be afraid to ask me the tough questions. You want to ask me about Space Invaders? You want to ask me some stuff? Ben's ready to answer the hard questions. So we'll give you a few softballs first, Ben. How's that sound before we throw the tough ones at you? How's that sound?
You're too kind. You're too kind.
With me, as always, is my co-host, Detroit Love, Restalgia, Michael B. the Game Genie, and ladies and gentlemen in the live chat, we are under direct orders from Restalgia to not make fun of him tonight in front of Ben. So you guys in the live chat, you have to be nice to Restalgia tonight. Isn't that right, buddy?
There's a lot of expectation and pressure on tonight's show, so I would appreciate if everyone would just play along just for one show.
Guys, like I always say this, and I'm going to say it again tonight. Please show Restalgia the respect he deserves. He's a serious player in the gaming space and deserves to be treated as such.
This is true.
Funny. And I know if you guys have been following our shows as well as our individual YouTube channels, not just this dedicated channel for this specific podcast show, but you guys know that my buddy Carl, Detroit Love, out of all of us, is probably the biggest Numskull fan. He loves Numskull. And Carl, how excited are you that Ben is here, man?
Oh man, I'm psyched, man. I am a fan of the old arcades, and for these guys to recreate this, that looks so beautiful, to be playable and to be presentable like they are, they're just fantastic products. And I have my Pac-Man, I have the collector's edition, and I'm not ready to make a purchase of a full size or quarter scale. I'm sorry, 3/4 scale version of it, but this quarter scale version is perfect for my game room at this point in time. I love the things that you guys make, Ben.
Thank you.
So Ben, we heard that you were on a friend of the channel, Cool Toy. You did an interview with him. You're coming on our show. You told us before we went live you might pop up on some other videos as well. What's going on? What's with the sudden media appearances? What's going on? What is the intention there?
World tour.
Yeah.
So with Space Invaders, which I'm sure we'll get into, the feedback was loud and clear. Because it had taken a number of years to come out, we had to focus on that and just get that done. And it has been the most painful project we've ever done. Honestly, it has been crazy time. So we naively thought, this machine was originally made in 1978. So we thought when we signed the license, this is going to be easy. We're in the 2020s now. We can easily recreate the technology from 1978. How wrong we were. It was crazy. I'll come back to the development issues in a bit, but we made a conscious decision not to sort of keep announcing lots of new cabinets, keep talking about what we're going to do in the future until this baby's out. And this baby lands in our warehouse now on Monday. So it starts shipping Monday. UK and Europe get their stock first, North America follows about a week later. That's still in transit. So yeah, now it's going to be out there. We feel now's the right time that we can start pushing forward again, announce lots of new cabinets and what we're doing in the future.
It's fantastic. And it's, Space Invaders has been a long time coming, and it's going to finally start shipping to customers on Monday.
Correct, yeah.
Or it'll arrive in your warehouse, but then ship shortly thereafter.
Yeah, so the stock left about 5 or 6 weeks ago from the factory in China. It's landing in the UK into our warehouse on Monday, so we start shipping it to customers Monday. North America, it's probably a week or two behind. It just takes a bit longer to get through customs in the US. So that will follow towards the end of November, and then international ones shortly after that. But I'm honestly really pleased it's finally done. It has been the toughest project that we've ever done. We manufacture quarter arcades, but we also manufacture a lot of other products as well. This is without a doubt the hardest one.
So, Ben, during the show, if you hear any random noises during the show, it's always Detroit love. I don't know why, but it's always Detroit love.
So, Ben, we definitely want to dive into the Space Invaders story, as well as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all the arcade. You guys went on an announcement binge the last couple of weeks, announced all kinds of new titles. We've also heard rumor that you've also kind of leaked, or not really leaked, but just kind of gave people a heads up that there might be a RoboCop in the future and things like that. And who knows what else we can pry out of you during this podcast. And we definitely want to make sure everyone who's taking time out of their day in the live chat, hopefully we can get some of your guys' questions answered as well. So keep those coming in the live chat. We'll try to get to them as many as we can, but disclaimer, we're not going to be able to get to them all, but we'll do our absolute best. But before we do all that, I think it's kind of appropriate. Maybe some people aren't familiar with you. I mean, we've had New Wave on, we've had At Games on, we've had Arcade One Up. We've had people on from
iArcade. Don't forget iArcade, just because they're gone now.
Yeah, we've had iArcade, but in case if people aren't familiar with who you are, maybe you can kind of let people know, who is Numskull, what are these quarter arcades, and what made you guys decide to start making quarter size arcades? Like, is this what was the story behind the moneymaker?
Yeah, so I worked for a retailer called Game. We were part of the GameStop group, so we were EB Games back in the day.
Electronics Boutique.
That's correct, yeah. So Electronics Boutique branched out to the UK, so I was the head buyer there for a number of years, and I worked with them in various different countries, culminating in, I was down in Australia. And we saw that gaming merchandise was getting big. So 12 years ago, me and my good buddy, Matt Precious, we started Numskull. So it's 11 years old now. Matt, my business partner, is a massive arcade fan. And one of the products that he wanted on his desk was a replica console. So we decided to go with quarter scale, because it also ties in with quarter US coins.
Yep.
Which is what used to put in the machine. So we thought it was quite a clever name. So quarter arcades, quarter scale relates to quarter coins. It was literally because he wanted one on his desk. So we handmade. We started with three prototypes. We made a Star Wars version, we made a track and field version, and Street Fighter 2. The first one, we went to Disney with Star Wars, and they thought this was brilliant, and they'd offered us a UK license, but we needed the global license to make Star Wars work, so that wasn't a starter. We went to KONAMI with track and field, which I'm sure we'll touch on a bit later, but they said, yeah, you could do this, so that was great. We were off and running with them, and we also had the Street Fighter 2 cabinet, which we took to Capcom in the UK, and they absolutely loved it. We took the prototype there, the staff were playing it. You can do this. As part of the Capcom approval process, because there's a Capcom UK office, Capcom Japan, and Capcom USA, out of courtesy, just to make sure that each office isn't stepping on each other's toes, they have to get approval. And Capcom USA said, no, you can't do this. I'm sorry. We've already got a partner in place doing miniature replica arcades. And we were like, really? that doesn't sound right. You know, I strongly suspected someone at Capcom USA saw this product and then thought we should do that ourselves, and that's what I genuinely thought. That's why we didn't get the license. Fast forward 12 months, and New Wave Toys brought it out. I was like, wow, there's someone the same idea. And I don't know how long New Wave Toys were talking to Capcom before us, whether it was days, weeks, or months. But it was just, the timing was incredible. They'd beaten us to the punch from Street Fighter 2. So we pivoted and talked to Namco, and that's where we signed up the Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, Galaxian, and Dig Dug. So we went off. It was like a sliding doors moment. We could have started with Street Fighter 2 and gone down the Capcom route, but that was closed off by New Wave Toys. So we went the Namco route and
Interesting.
Launched the biggest seller. I think Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man are the highest grossing arcades of all time.
So that's a very, you brought up something here that I find very interesting, Ben, and hopefully I'm not crossing any lines by asking this question. But you mentioned how you were going for Capcom licensing games. The New Wave Toys had them, got there first, or at least got the deal signed. So you went to Bandai Namco, the Pac-Man games instead, and started pushing those out. But so, for instance, if New Wave Toys is doing, they do like a 1/6 scale, which is a smaller machine than yours. It's not the same size. You don't think that were you doing it just so there wasn't like, why wouldn't you do it because they're doing it? Did they get an exclusivity, or was it more you wanted to do something different, not what someone else was doing? Can you kind of like explain why you didn't keep pursuing it?
I think, well, there's two things. Capcom, quite rightly, have said we've taken New Wave Toys money. I think it's too similar in size, so we're not going to, we're not going to take your money as well, because then it's unfair on New Wave Toys and it's unfair on you. And I respect that. Okay. But that's not to say I think they released theirs 4, 5, 6 years ago now, so we can go and get that license and manufacture Street Fighter 2, which we will do. We've just announced our arcades for the next 2 years. After that, the intention is to go back and revisit some of the licenses. So we want to do Street Fighter 2, and I think we will do that. Centipede, Tempest, Food Fighter, Missile Command are certainly on our hit list for years 3 and 4.
Nice. So, P-Dubs, you've definitely crossed lines. I don't know how the show can go forward from here.
I think it was a very fair question.
Yeah, no, it is fair. We always wonder about this exclusivity stuff. Like one of the things with Arcade 1-Up, one of the representatives we had contact with, he always said that, I got exclusive rights. But it's not really exclusive. It's exclusive rights. But Arcade 1-Up is a company that is built on Bandai Namco. And since they've come in, and they've developed their relationship with Bandai Namco, has there been any complications working with Bandai Namco? Have they had any exclusivity, or have you guys just been able to continue your partnership? I mean, if you're going to start making arcade games, might as well make the king of the arcades first. So I do think Pac-Man was the right choice, but has it become harder to go back and work with Bandai Namco in the last couple of years?
No, not at all. I'm big fans of Arcade 1-Up. I honestly think they have pioneered the retro arcade space, particularly in a licensing capacity. Yeah. So I'll lean towards Star Wars and The Simpsons. So those are 2 licenses that we spoke to Disney about in the early days, and the money they were wanting was insane. Funny enough, before I had a conversation with them, we spoke to Atari, and we said to Atari, can we do Star Wars? And they said, it's not us. We don't own the license. That's Disney. And we thought, okay, it's strange. So we went to speak to Disney, and they said, yeah, you can do it, but it's $500,000. Wow. Okay. And that's just for Star Wars. So okay, sure. There's 2 stories there. Atari didn't realize that they owned or could license Star Wars. So at some point, Arcade 1-Up have unlocked that door, and now Atari are licensing Star Wars in conjunction with Disney. Yeah. So fair play to Arcade 1-Up for unlocking that door for everyone. Then the second thing is take some big kahunas to put that sort of money on the line, and they did it. And I would like to think that they've earned their money out on that deal 10 times over. But it's put them on the map. Star Wars arcade cabinet is so iconic. But I think
yeah,
they must have sold tens of thousands of units. So it's allowed other companies like us and New Wave Toys to sort of follow in their slipstream.
So, Ben, I know all of us here on the panel have got some great questions here for you, but we do have a couple quick hitters in the live chat. So, for instance, if you don't mind, Zero Redo or Redux is curious about Raiders and Road Blasters. Are these even feasible for you or on your radar?
They're not on our radar. No, I think on our current roadmap. So we've announced the 5. We are in discussions with Nintendo right now. I'm not sure.
Hold, need a minute.
Hold on. I almost fell out of my chair, Ben. Did you say that Numskull is in discussions with Nintendo right now?
Yeah, right now we're in discussions with Nintendo. So we want to do Donkey Kong, Mario, and Popeye. Popeye would be a dual license. I'm not sure where the conversations would go. So we're sort of probably at second stage discussions now. So we do not just arcades. We manufacture lots of other products like tubs, collectible ducks. We do cos cups, power idols, Christmas jumpers, sort of sweaters as you call them.
Your Christmas sweaters are incredible. I've got a Ghostbusters one. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we do lots of product categories. So we're talking to Nintendo about various categories, and one of them was Quarter Arcades. And straight away they've said no to collectible ducks, and they've said no to our cos cups. But they've not said no to arcades yet. So it's like, okay, let's keep this conversation going. So it's something they are debating internally. I think it will go one of two ways. So Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers are the jewel in the crown for Nintendo. And Nintendo manufacture hardware. So I think, and I've not said this, but I think the conversations internally at Nintendo will be, should we just do this ourselves? Because we can. Whether that's 6 scale, quarter scale, or full size, they have the capabilities and they will do it phenomenally well. But if we are going to let a third party do it, it's going to need we want substantial money. We want to partner with the right person, the right company that's going to do it justice, and it's going to be significant money. But I think it's worth continuing the conversations.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong Jr., not so much 3, but that is a cabinet that most people want to be out here, whether it's a full size, quarter size, 1/6 size. We don't care. We would just love to have that cabinet. So my fingers are crossed, eyes are crossed, everything's crossed, hoping that you guys can make some leeway with that, because like you said, once the door is open, it's open, and so they've had it closed for so long, and why they don't want this money that's just sitting out here to be spent is just so surprising. But they make so much money, so they have to have priorities. But I'm hoping that that's a cabinet that can come to the home market.
So funny story. Carl was actually born with his eyes crossed. He got kicked by a donkey. They became uncrossed. Then he got hit by lightning, and they went back cross. It's the craziest set of adventures Carl went through.
What? I gotta tell you, Ben, though, when you said, I was here drinking my coffee out of my Batman cup, and when you said Nintendo, moment. Like, dude, my lip is sweating underneath the broom handle mustache. My lip is sweaty when you mentioned Nintendo. Guys, do me a favor. If you would consider purchasing a quarter scale Donkey Kong, Popeye, and what was the other one you had mentioned?
Mario Brothers.
If you guys would support that, would you guys be willing to drop the money on that? Let's say these things are anywhere from $200 to $400 or something like that. Would you guys do it? Give us a 1 in the chat. If you're not interested in Nintendo licenses, give us a 0. I gotta tell you,
everybody's interested in Nintendo licenses. This is like the water wet.
I want to see it.
So, number 1 and number 2 in any demand from any arcade recreation company is going to be Pac-Man and then Donkey Kong. That's 1 and 2. You can decide which one it's going to go. The crazy thing about that is, like, we've had many conversations with other companies. They can't even get Nintendo to return phone calls. You talked about Arcade 1-Up being like this juggernaut for licensing. Nintendo won't talk to them. Nintendo's just like, nah, man, don't answer messages, nothing. So I mean, that's a huge feather in the cap right there. The fact that you are having those conversations.
Yeah, so I don't think the money interests them. If you
Right.
just talk about Funko for a second,
Yeah.
Funko is massive.
Pops,
I mean,
yeah.
huge, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't do Nintendo. Nintendo do not want Mario in that form factor.
No.
So
It doesn't. I imagine Funko have offered an open check. The answer's still no. So I don't think money interests them. Where I think we may get the license is somebody at Nintendo wants it on their desk. That's sometimes the way these things work. Somebody's goes, that would be cool. I want that on my desk. Let's make that happen.
Now, have you guys created a prototype? Have they seen a prototype of what you guys are capable of making? Okay.
No, we've not gone that far. It's an interesting point. So it's very difficult getting into Nintendo. They are one of the most sought after licenses globally. So they are inundated with requests. And it just so happens the stars have aligned recently, because we've tried for years to speak to Nintendo. And I think it's because Nintendo need to find you. You don't find Nintendo. Nintendo comes to you. It's one of the, we've been waiting for that call for a long time.
Yeah.
Somebody we used to work with at another licensor, I won't name the company, but a big company that's just been acquired by Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody has gone there to Nintendo in the past few months, and we've worked with this person for a long time at their former employee. And they reached out to us and said, right, I'm here. I'm at Nintendo. Let's talk.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I didn't sleep that night.
It's all about who you know. But
relationships matter.
Now I know Restalgia's aching to ask you a question, because we want to make sure that Restalgia's star shines bright tonight. But before we do, guys, do me a favor in the live chat. If you owned or have owned a Numskull Quarter Arcade, do me a favor. Tell me which one out of the ones you own is your favorite in the live chat. Go ahead and type it out, whether it was Ms. Pac-Man, Galaga. They've done so many. Which one was your favorite so far? For me personally, I got to tell you, Ben, and I'll kind of kick this off. I got to tell you, man, this was my favorite product of yours. And I still have this one. I'll be honest with you, Ben. Some of your machines I had and then sold aftermarket. But this one I still have in my arcade loft because it's such a cool idea, in my opinion. This was a great pull from arcade nostalgia and history. And it's a fantastic charger. It charges so many things in my loft, all my light up decorations and things like that. This was my favorite product personally. What made you guys decide to do this one while we're waiting for everyone in the live chat to tell us what their favorite was?
So it was a myth, wasn't it? It also appeared in The Simpsons, and I think it's also appeared in Locky. If you look at Locky, it appears in that as well. So there was no license fee, which is great, although we did have to do our due diligence. Somebody did start a company in the US called Polybius. So we had to navigate that quite carefully and find out whether it was a genuine company or whether it was just a fanboy starting something. And it seemed to be the latter. But it was purely that my business partner, again, wanted it on his desk. So we wanted to do a USB hub to make sure that you could charge all of the arcades. So we're going to do a USB hub. What should we do? And it just made perfect sense. And as ever, when my business partner wants something for his desk, we'll go and do it.
That's really, really cool. We did get a super chat here from Leo and Restalgia. You want to handle this for us?
Yep, we've got a $20 super chat.
$19.99 Restalgia. We don't round up here.
Fine, $19.99. Ben Grant, thank you for the awesome arcades you guys have made so far. I own all of them. Could you consider making my favorite OG cab Golden Axe? That would be a dream come true. I second this. As I don't know if you can see back here, I've got Golden Axe, Revenge of Death Adder playing behind me. One of my favorite arcade games is SEGA on the table at all.
Yes, so we've got a very close relationship with SEGA. We actually run the official SEGA shop in Europe. So
oh, wow.
Okay.
You know, we couldn't be any tighter with those guys. We had a conversation with them 4 or 5 years ago about the Sega stable. There's 12 cabs: Golden Axe, Shinobi, Altered Beast, Outrun, Sega Rally, Afterburner, and we offered them $750,000, and the answer was no.
Yeah.
They said that they're working on something themselves. So it's just off the table. End of conversation. That's it. Final.
That was 4 years ago. They said they were working on something themselves.
I think they released something, didn't
Oh
they?
yeah, the little Astro City minis.
Yeah.
That's
So
probably why.
I'm not sure whether it was that or something else, but the answer was it's Japan are working on something. The answer is no. And I said, if I offer you more money, no, the answer is no. It was just a flat no. One of the things about Sega, I'm not sure people are aware of this, and it's sort of we steered away from it because of this, one of these reasons. If you manufacture a product, you cannot put the Sega logo on it.
Yeah.
So I don't realize the arcade Outrun doesn't have the Sega logo on it. So Sega have this rule that unless it's manufactured by Sega, it cannot have the Sega logo on it. And because we are true to our products are 99.9% close to the original machines, you know, the exact replicas. So not having the Sega logo on Golden Axe or Sega Rally or Outrun sort of jarred with me slightly. And there's no way around it. It's a straight no. You know, we manufacture other products for Sega, and we cannot put Sega on any of them. So it wouldn't be a true replica.
Why is that? Is it that they don't want another company to make it look like this is a Sega product? They want people to know that if you license something 100%, it's the other company. They're just worried about protecting their own brand name.
Yeah, I think it's literally if Sega manufacture something, then you can put the Sega logo on. But it's that sort of seal of authenticity. If it's not been manufactured by Sega, then no, you can't use our logo. And I think it might be a Japanese thing. So one of the things that we've always wanted to do on the Sega shop is have a T-shirt with the word Sega across it.
Simple, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would sell. You know, people want to represent Sega, and the answer is hard no. But it's not just them. Konami as well. We worked with Konami, and we said, can we do the old Konami logo, the retro logo across a T-shirt?
Yeah.
No, you cannot put Konami on anything.
Konami's a weird company too. Like it really frustrates me. I'm a big TurboGrafx 16 guy. Was it called the TurboGrafx 16 guy in Europe as well? Do you know what I'm talking about? That NEC system?
Core Graphics.
Core Graphics. Did you guys get Core Graphics there? So anyways, Konami actually owns that device now, and Konami is so weird about putting stuff out. We managed to get a mini console, but like you never see anything for the TurboGrafx anymore. Core Graphics, I think, in England, and it was the PC Engine in Japan. So
yeah. So with Konami, home gaming is not their biggest revenue source. It's it's hotels. So I think that tells you where their focus is.
Do you know Nintendo was into the whole hotel business at one point too? Different kind of hotel though.
Taito used to make vodka. That's how it started out.
Get out of town.
No kidding.
That's funny.
I never knew that.
Wow.
I met them in London about 6 months ago to show them Space Invaders, and we had a meal with them. Yeah, I never realised, but they started out making vodka, and my brain's going, we should do that. We released Taito vodka. That'd be a
good tie-in with Zookeeper.
So, Ben, we're going to dive into Space Invaders and Ninja Turtles. So deep breath. I know the Space Invaders is going to be a fun conversation. But before we do, this was a great question asked earlier in our live chat. And it seems you do pay attention to New Wave Toys. I don't know if you have a relationship with them, if you guys are like friendly competitors, or if there's any kind of rivalry there. But New Wave Toys has kind of made it known the last few months that they're going to be expanding what they're doing, because they also make micro arcade machines, that they're actually partnering with GRS, and they're going to be making possibly larger scale arcade cabinets, possibly, what did Shiloh tell us when he was on our show? Nearly 1-to-1 recreations potentially. Have you guys also thought about going bigger, or are you just cool staying where you're at? Well, like what John's asking here below.
We did manufacture in our UK warehouse replica full size Pac-Man machines when we'd had that license initially, and we actually made 3. Yeah, so we were going to a convention, and our creative director went into the warehouse one weekend and literally built 3 not original, but 3 replica full-size Pac-Man machines in 2 days. And it's like, wow, kudos to him, because he's a genius what he does. But it was painful. It was pain. And we decided to Arcade 1UP are already in that space, and are doing it probably bigger and better than what we would do. So we decided to stick to quarter scale.
I would argue that there is a demand from the home arcade space for full arcade recreations. Like Arcade 1UP, cool, they do a cool thing, but they're toy replicas, right? I think there is a demand for people who want really, what you guys and what New Wave Toys does with the attention to detail and everything exactly right, no compromises. So I do think there's a want. So it'd be interesting. I think there's a lot of buzz around New Wave Toys doing it, and there would be a lot of buzz around you guys doing it as well. So just a heads up.
And obviously, with a product at full size, that changes a lot of things. Obviously, for shipping, packing, right, cost. What's the right price for you to sell it at? So it's a totally different market, right? But interesting enough, I know a lot of us are interested. But how many will people buy?
And how much would they pay? Like, it's fine for us to say, man, we would love like a full-size, full-size quarter arcade cab. And then you're like, well, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And people are like, well, we don't love it that much. So it's hard to identify that.
So we do follow Arcade 1UP a lot, and we do follow New Wave Toys. I mean, I don't know Shiloh. I've never met Shiloh, but we are big fans about what they do, and I've watched his interviews with you. He sounds like a fun guy, so I'd love to grab
super fun.
He's a good time.
Yeah. I'd love to grab a beer with him sometime. I'm sure we will. But we do watch what who our competitors, New Wave Toys and Arcade 1UP, are doing. So to answer your question about full size, Arcade 1UP did well in North America. It didn't do well in Japan, and it didn't do well in UK and Europe. And it's because of people's houses, the size. So Japan, people don't have space for a full-size replica arcade machine. And it's the same in Europe. Our houses are smaller, and our wives are probably a lot more aggressive. You're not having that in this house. They wouldn't let us have the space.
I've never thought of that before, but that is so true. The homes are smaller overseas than America, and that's probably why people don't buy the bigger stuff there. That you just blew my mind, Ben. I'm sorry. That was fantastic.
Who do you think the Act Games Legends Gamer Mini was for?
Oh, interesting. Well, we got a $10 super chat. This is a great question, and then I definitely want to get to Space Invaders after this. Zohar, he said, sorry, P-dubs, I'll ask and I'll go. That's funny. I noticed there's no fighting games in your store. I think he's talking to you, Ben, about Numskull. Without saying the name, are you guys thinking of doing any quarter scale fighting arcade games?
100%, yeah. More Street Fighter 2 we will go and do. There's no two ways about that.
That'll make him happy.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat. I'd love to do Mortal Kombat. I think that has to be on the list.
Well, if I had to vote, I would vote Mortal Kombat before Street Fighter 2. Sorry, Street Fighter fans.
Yeah, and I would also do King of Fighters before Mortal Kombat.
So,
I would do Tekken before any of those.
100%. Carl, you're on the ball.
Well, I would do brutal Paws of Fury, but I mean, I'm out on the outside. So just because now that you've said that, he's going to harass you for the rest of existence, just explain to him why it would be hard. You mentioned it already, why it would be hard to work with Warner Brothers to do Mortal Kombat, because that comes with a absolutely massive price tag, right?
Yeah. So we're very close to Warner Brothers in the UK. We have a license, a global license on our other lines. So we do the collectible ducks and a lot of other lines with Warner Brothers. They're one of our biggest partners. So we have direct line communication. When we talked to them about doing quarter scale arcades, the feedback was, yeah, the US office are interested, but it starts at $1 million, and that's the point where we walked away.
Okay, I'll meet you for the payment at 175 Joke Street. The comedy club? Yeah, just go in there and tell them your jokes.
Yeah. But to be fair to these companies, you know, and it's not just Warner Brothers, it's all the big ones. There's probably four buckets of licenses. So you've got the easy ones. You've got Atari, Data East, Namco. You know, that's what they're making a lot of money out of now, is the retro IPs. So they've got specific departments and they're focused on that. And the minimum guarantees are fairly reasonable. You've then got the big guys, Nintendo, Disney, SEGA, Warner Brothers. It's not their main line of business. You know, Warner Brothers are making billions off of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we rock up and say, can we do some of your old IPs that you're not really sort of utilising this from? To get the lawyers out of bed and for us to sort of spark interest, it's going to need to be significant. Now, $1 million to Warner Brothers is not significant, but it is to you or I. So, you know, I get it. I wish it would be lower, but and I think one day it will be. I think when they're not hitting targets or the needs, you know, to find some extra revenue for a quarter or something, so it could just be timing. But I think once our install base has grown, and we're selling more quarter arcades, we will go and tackle the big guys, such as Warner Brothers and Disney again.
Good stuff. Well, Ben, let's dive into this. So you have many customers waiting on Space Invaders, and can you kind of just tell us the story and the challenges? Like, why has it taken so long for you to deliver on this product?
Yeah. So when we signed the license, we thought Space Invaders, you know, 1978, you know, we'll be able to replicate this easy, and you know, and naively how wrong we were. So Space Invaders, it's a CRT black and white monitor, which emits lots of light. The LED monitors that you use these days don't emit light. So that was the first challenge. We were like, oh my God. Surely we can get an LED panel that emits the same amount of light. It doesn't. You know, back in 1978, a black and white TV was emitting a lot of light, which helped with this glow that you get with the peppered ghost effect. And then what they did is they put gel over the coloured gels over the black and white monitor to create colour, because colour TVs weren't invented then. So you've got this CRT monitor. You've then got a fluorescent tube in the bottom. Now, a miniature fluorescent tubes don't exist. You can't buy miniature fluorescent tubes. You have to use LED strips. And then you've got the pepper ghost effect, where the monitor plays the game backwards, reflects off a mirror, and then it creates this pepper ghost effect. So you've got the CRT monitor with color gels, a fluorescent tube, in reverse, at an angle. It was just a nightmare. We actually have a Space Invaders arcade machine in our office, and we pulled it to pieces just to try and work out what to do. But the technology back then gave off a different glow and light to what we can replicate to this day. So it just was never right. And then as we're going through, so went through 3 factories just trying to develop the Pepper Ghost. And then there was COVID in the middle of it. So we were in and out of lockdown for 2 years, and China was the first to go into lockdown. So we just lost sort of communication. The project was on hold for 2 years, right in the middle of developing it.
Wow.
So that hasn't helped. But I'm thankful to say we've finally done it. We've cracked it. So we actually managed to get a handmade sample working with the right Pepper Ghost. And then once you've got it working, you then have to break it down to go into mass production. So you have to do tooling on each individual pieces. So it's one thing making a one-off prototype that works. It's another thing than getting it into mass production to manufacture a few thousand units to go out commercially. So it was really, really, really painful, and it's a project I never want to do again. Thankfully, I don't.
Zookeeper's not coming out now. We're done with Taito.
No Zookeeper, everybody. It's just too stressful.
Now we've done that, I think we can tackle anything. That is the hardest, most complex arcade machine. I mean, what they did in 1978 was genius. When you look back on how they actually managed to do this Pepper Ghost effects, I'm in absolute awe of Mr. Space Invaders, what he's done and how he created it. Because the technology in 1978 to have a black and white TV and colour gels over the top to create colour was just, at the time, cutting edge. And fluorescent tubes to create the glow. Kudos to them. We actually, we're releasing a video this week of him playing it. We sent Mr. Space Invaders in Japan, the actual the first production samples. And we got a video back of him sat in his office playing it. And it really was an emotional moment for us. And we're going to share that video on our Facebook group later this week.
Very cool.
Detroit Love, what do you think about? Did you pre-order Space Invaders?
I didn't. You know, there's, like I said, I have a huge passion for the games, and I started up from the beginning. All these games I've played personally, it's just certain games for me that it just doesn't strike the core. I played them tons because I didn't have any other choice. That would be like Missile Command, Space Invaders as well. But when I dig into my pocket, it's just those games just doesn't appeal to me strong enough to do it. You know, when you get into Pac-Man, Galaga, Miss Pac-Man, things like that, it's a no question. You talk about Donkey Kong, if that comes out, I'll probably have 2 or 3 of those in the house, you know. But certain games, while I love them, I just won't turn them on to play. You know what I mean? And I have so many ways to play those games. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it hard. But the cabinet of that is iconic. It is a gorgeous looking cabinet. That cabinet, and along with Donkey Kong and Popeye, just when you see those cabinets, the shape of them, they bring back so much memories. They're just awesome cabinets.
Ben, well, I was going to ask you. So we have Space Invaders. I believe you mentioned earlier in the show. It's going to be shipping out starting next week. So you'll deliver on that one, and then the next one due to come out is the TMNT cabinets.
Yep.
Can you kind of walk us through where you're at with TMNT and how soon people will have these in front of them? I saw some YouTube reviews have come up, and just tell us all about TMNT, man.
So that's finished manufacture as well. So it's like London buses. You wait for one and 3 arrive at the same time. So Turtles is done. It's on the water. It will follow 2 to 3 weeks behind Space Invaders. So all of this long way, yeah. So it's one after the other now. So yeah, really pleased with the way Turtles has come out. We, as I said about Arcade One Up, pioneering and people following in their slipstream. We certainly did that with Turtles, but I'm glad we did because we looked at the feedback that they had. There was a couple of negative points. I think the artwork didn't have the lady's engagement ring on it, and they didn't use the original soundtrack. So we sort of made note of that and gone back and fixed it. So our artwork is the exact replica of the original. Oh. You know, she has the engagement ring. And we also went off and purchased the rights to the official soundtracks. So the music in our Turtles cabinet is the exact same one from the original.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to ask you a really strange question here now. So in order to get like the license on the artwork, did you in fact get the contact information for that model? And if so, is she still married? And can you share that contact info with me?
She comes in the special edition version.
Oh, awesome. That's the one I'm getting.
Ben, we did get a super chat from our moderator, Jason, who's moderating our chat tonight. He's a great guy. He's doing a lot of hard work in the live chat. $10. He said, "You've been very forthcoming this evening, and it's a breath of fresh air. Thank you for visiting tonight. It's been very entertaining and informative." Yeah, Ben, you definitely make a good first impression with me, my friend. This is the first time we've ever spoken, and I love how just transparent you're being about everything. That's really cool, man.
No, thank you. But the we always try to be transparent, particularly with our own community. So on our Facebook page, we get lots of questions, and we don't shy away. We have Space Invaders in particular has been a big problem, and it's held us back as a brand and a company. We purposely haven't gone off. We should be 3 or 4.
I love the way Ben's looking at that Space Invader cab. It's like how someone looks at their ex-wife and they're like, "Oh, the years that I've lost."
You're just happy to be over it and on to the next project, isn't that right, Ben?
Honestly, I'm excited and nervous because as I said, it starts shipping next week, and it's been. I'm just excited for people to get it in their hands, and I really hope they love it. I honestly think, and I know I'm biased, but it is the best replica arcade out there, without a doubt. It is by far and away the best thing we've ever done. It's been painful. We've lost many sleepless nights over it, but it really is fantastic. We invited some of our most loyal fans to our offices in Welling Garden City to get their hands on Space Invaders, Turtles, and the Tato cabs, like a behind-the-scenes preview about what we're doing. And every one of them said, this is by far and away the best that we've ever seen. It's worth every penny. So I am excited. I am also nervous about it going out next week. So fingers crossed everyone really likes it.
So going on to the Turtles cap, and this is a little bit of a joke, but one of the complaints everybody made about the Arcade 1-Up cap, because Turtles was the first 4-player cap, so it's going to be the first 4-player cap for you guys as well. Do you think 4 people can play it at the same time comfortably?
And can we see that YouTube video?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in Willy Wonka's factory, the Oompa Loompas played it absolutely fine. No, there was no problem there. What we did is, I'll bring this closer. We've actually...
Let's get this off of here. Oh, sorry, Ben. There you go, Ben.
So I'll pull the cable out.
Yeah, the USB ports. That's what you're going to show us, right?
In the front here. So if you want to play 4-player, there's 4 USB ports right in the front there. You can put any USB controller in. I mean, we do sell USB controllers as well, Quarter Arcade branded ones, but it will work with most other USB controllers. So you can play 4-player there. I think comfortably you can play 2-player. If you wanted to be adventurous, you could try with the 4 players. But yeah, we purposely wanted it to be playable for 4 people. So we put these, and we hid them away so that...
Yeah, that's clever. It's very clever. I like that.
We could have put it back, but we didn't want to. We want to stay true to the original. So
I think you did a great job with that.
I can't wait to watch Cool Toys review where he takes it to his dojo and him and 3 of his other black belts sit around playing it.
Does that TMNT, does it have HDMI out where they could play it on a separate monitor? No,
it's one of the questions we asked our fan groups. So going back to the community again, that we always listen. Our community sort of guide us into what they do and don't want.
Oh my goodness!
That we asked the community was, should we go to plastic? People complaining about how expensive quarter arcades are becoming. And one of the biggest challenges around manufacturing is the wood. The original machines were made out of wood. Not many factories manufacture wood now. It's a dying art. Wood's not easy to work with. Wood, there's a high failure rejection rate with wood because it's a natural material. So to be able to bring down the cost, the SRP, significantly, and to make manufacture a lot simpler, we said to the group, if we go to plastic, this is going to be cheaper. And the overwhelming feedback, overwhelming, don't you dare. You stay with wood. So we said, okay, fair enough, we're going to stay with wood. It's harder, it's painful, it's going to be more expensive, but we'll stick with wood. So yeah, we listened to the community. So to answer your question, we asked as well about HDMI. Should we put HDMI into our caps? And the overwhelming response was no, don't do it, because it will put the price up. So if we put HDMI in, it's another component. We need to obviously engineer that software-wise with the motherboard. So it will put another $10, $20 on top of the price. Do you want it? No. So
What-
listened and we did it.
What we're used to in our home arcade community is people wanting extra stuff, but for free,
free,
because
yeah.
they deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were very transparent. I think had we asked the question, do you want HDMI? The answer would be yes, of course we do. But the question was, do you want HDMI? Please bear in mind, it will put $10 to $20 SRP up. The answer was no, it's not worth it.
Sorry, Cyan Spirits. We are under direct orders from Restalgia to behave tonight.
No, Restalgia said you can make fun of me. We're just not allowed to say anything about Restalgia or his shady history. Oh, I'm sorry.
I wish I was a part of these conversations. I don't know what you're talking about.
So Paul here in the live chat, he says, I appreciate company that listens to customers. I have to be honest with you, Ben. When you guys did those YouTube videos and Facebook posts telling people about, hey, we're thinking about switching to plastic, our costs are rising, global supply chain, like you gave us the whole, told us what's going on. A, I was impressed you guys were being that honest. But B, Ben, I was a little bit worried. I was like, oh man, is Numskull not going to make it? Are they not going to survive? It sounds like they can't even make these cabinets anymore. But your customers responded to you and said, we want wood. We don't want HDMI. And what I noticed, Ben, is a lot of your diehard fans told you they were willing to pay more to keep you going. And I think that's great. I think that's great that you listened to your customers, especially the diehard fans who probably have bought every cabinet that's come out.
Yeah, thank you. No, we do listen, and it's interesting because the community actually help us. With fixes. So we don't always have all of the answers. So we did the Tato machines recently, elevator action. Zookeeper and Clicks, and we posted the prototypes on the group. Now we do this on purpose, and we go, here's the first prototype, and just sort of leave it there and see what people say. And one guy came back and went, I hope they make the instruction panel light up. And we, what? The instruction panel doesn't light up. So we're like, really? Okay. We have access to arcades, so there's lots of arcades, bars and clubs here in the UK. So we go and sort of spend a couple of days there, looking at machines, make sure we got all the details. This guy above the control panel is instructions, and these instructions, he said, lights up. I'm like, no, they don't. So we went back to the arcade and we got into the machine and we climbed in there, and the bulbs had gone. Oh crikey, they do light up. But our ones didn't. The bulb must have gone like 10, 15 years ago. So we're making this Tato machine based upon what we can see and play and whatnot. And purely, it was a guy who went, no, they light up, do they? So it's like, oh, wow, thanks for that. And then we also did this one here, Turtles in Time. In the arcade that we go to, the buttons on Turtles in Time are this. It's yellow for Michelangelo.
Yes.
So that's what we created, and KONAMI signed it off and Nickelodeon signed it off. And then someone, again, we put it on the group and go, here's the prototype. And sort of walk away and see what comments we get. And someone went, I hope you're going to change that button to orange. What?
Yeah.
Somebody had gone back. So the arcade that we've got access to, the keys had obviously broken at some point in history back 10, 15 years ago, and he couldn't find orange keys, so he just replaced them with yellow ones. So we thought, that's the color configuration. So the community are helping us pick out little bits and pieces where we get it wrong. The other one, just the final story, was Miss Pac-Man. So when we did the Miss Pac-Man cab, Namco gave us the artwork and said, there's the Miss Pac-Man artwork for your arcade. Brilliant. 99 times out of 100, you get nothing. You don't get the ROM, you don't get the art, the artwork. You have to go and get it yourselves. But they gave us the artwork. So again, we made the prototype Miss Pac-Man and went left it on the group and walk away and see what happens. And somebody went, I hope you fixed the marquee. The artwork's wrong. I went, it can't be wrong. Namco have given us the artwork. And it's like, no, it's wrong. And so again, we took our prototype to the arcade and we're looking at it. And there were subtle differences. It was different. So Namco had hired someone 10 years ago to say, we need you to go and replicate the Miss Pac-Man artwork. We'll pay you to do it. Okay, no problem. He's gone and done what he's done. He didn't copy it 100%. He copied it 95%. So we had to go back to Namco and say, we're not going to use your artwork. We're going to have to redraw our own one. And said, no, you have to use our artwork. And we're like, no, it's wrong. And they said, no, you have to use our artwork. That's the official artwork. And we said, if we release this cabinet with that artwork, we're going to get killed. So, and we showed them the subtle differences, and they said, okay, yeah, I get it. You can use your own artwork now. But it's the community that are picking up these little bits and pieces that keeps it, authentic and true to the original machine, which is it's just great.
So Ben, on the other Turtles cab, the original Turtles, Michelangelo's buttons are yellow. So more than likely, what happened is the Turtles in Time at your local arcade was probably converted from an original Turtles to Turtles in Time, and that's why the orange buttons aren't there.
Exactly.
And Ben, we talk about your demographics. Obviously, you're a UK company. You came to the US, like 2018, or was it end of 2017? With your sales, when did you come to the US with your products as far as the quarter arcade cabinets?
Well, it was the first one. So Pac-Man was released in the US, and it was stopped by GameStop. Was a big supporter of ours. So our quarter arcades were stocked at GameStop, and Big Bad Toy Store was another one. We've had conversations with Walmart, Target, and Best Buy. I'm sure you can imagine how those conversations went. Target said, "We really like this. Can you make it $49.99?"
Yeah.
Did you slide him a business card for my arcade? if
They even have the console ROMs. Jump on board.
Call this guy. But if you want a quality product,
So are they in any stores at this point in time, or just all online now?
So it's getting more and more of a challenge with the bricks and mortar stores now. The margins and the price points they want. Your Walmarts, your Targets, they all want to be the cheapest. They want to go at market leading prices, and they want their big margins, and they want you to protect them when it doesn't sell. So any stock that's in any store that's not sold, you have to mark down and pay for the privilege of that. So we walk away from these deals. We're not in that space. So the I would say 95% of our sales are online.
Direct to consumer. Yeah.
No, so Amazon's a big customer.
Yeah.
Amazon, yeah. So Amazon buy it direct from us. Big Bad Toy Store is very good as well. Shout out to those guys.
Like Big Bad Toy Store. I've seen your products in GameStop and EB Games here in Canada before, so I know that was a connection. One of the really big things about being a direct-to-consumer business is the fact that you have so much more leeway. I brought that comment up for a reason, P-Dubs.
Oh, go ahead.
We got control issues. I don't know who's running the show sometimes, if it's P-Dubs, me. Anyways, so one of the cool things about not being linked to a store, one of the issues Arcade 1-Up has, is they'll come out with an idea, like, we're going to do X cabinet, and then it's entirely incumbent on retailers agreeing and picking up that title. So they can have an awesome title we all want. Like an example would be, they were going to do a Double Dragon cab a couple of years ago, and they were so excited, and they went to the retailers, and the retailers were like, we don't know what Double Dragon is. So they didn't make it. But like, that's the great thing about you guys, New Wave Toys, where you do have that loyal fan base and commitment. You guys can do some weird and wacky shit. You could be like, we're making a Zookeeper, which I'm all on board for. But if you go to like Walmart and you say, we want to sell a Zookeeper cab, Walmart's going to be like, what the hell is Zookeeper?
Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, so of the 5 new cabinets that we announced recently, we put a poll on our Facebook page this week to say which one you're most excited about. Do you want to guess what's numbers 1, 2, and 3?
Obviously, Bad Dudes.
Number 1.
Number 1 was Bad Dudes?
No.
It wasn't Ghostbusters.
Pong.
BurgerTime. BurgerTime number 1,
Oh,
clear
yeah.
winner.
Yeah,
Wow.
Burger Time.
Number 2 is the big surprise. So we're just to refresh everyone's memories, BurgerTime, Ghostbusters, Lunar, Pong, Bad Dudes, Elevator Action, Zookeeper, Kicks, Pepsi, and 7-Up.
Carl,
Number
is that
two.
elevator action burning in your ears?
Number two, which really surprised me. So BurgerTime's the number one most anticipated. Number two is elevator action. More so than
I love
the
elevator
Ghostbusters.
action.
I thought Ghostbusters or Lunar Lander would be number two. It's not elevator action. Clear number two winner.
Wow.
Ghostbusters is a great IP for a classic arcade game, but it's not a great game. so that's problem. People are like, that's a problem.
And I think the market for the older games are always going to be so much higher. It was a point where, especially your name is Quarter Arcades, right? The games that took a quarter has that deep cut memory into us. When they start getting to dollars and all those things, I think some of us was just older, and so we were off to our real lives. But those the arcades that took quarters, I think is always going to be the fan favorite. But we're an Asian group too, right? So you have to appeal to the younger folk to make sure that they're getting what they want as well.
Yeah.
So Ben, I've heard rumor that you've recently had some dealings with a police officer in Detroit, and I don't mean to like call you out on something this possibly scandalous, but could you kind of explain what is the situation with this Detroit police officer?
He's had a hard go, man. Like, he died and they still made him come into work.
So yeah, we're in advanced discussions on RoboCop at the moment. It's like being a detective trying to find out who owns these licenses. So back in the 80s and 90s, nobody thought, in 30 years' time, somebody might want to do quarter scale arcades or arcade one up or new wave toys. So who owns what? It seems to be very convoluted. So the story around RoboCop, Orion Pictures made the film RoboCop, as you know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When the film came out, I think it was 1987. A company called Ocean Software, who were based in Manchester in England, got the rights from Orion to make the RoboCop video games. Data East then went to Orion and said, we want to make an arcade cabinet. Can you give us a license? And they said, well, no, we've given the license to these guys in Manchester in England, Ocean Software. So Data East had to go and get a license from Ocean Software.
Ocean Interactive.
Yeah. So then Data East released the cab. Data East then sold the rights to the Data East cab to a company called D4 Enterprise in September 2010. I don't know why. Perhaps they were in financial trouble or whatever. You can only speculate why they would sell the rights to another company, because D4 Enterprise didn't do anything with it. So then fast forward to today, we've obviously got the Data East contracts and we're speaking to them, and one of the things we asked for was RoboCop, and it was a quite short, sharp, blunt response. We don't own that anymore. So we've gone off and we've got the contract with MGM, who now own Orion Pictures. So that's one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. They've said, yes, you can do RoboCop. We then went and tried to find out who owned Ocean Software. Ocean Software has been passed around the houses numerous times, and it's now sat with Atari. And we know Atari very well, and they've confirmed, yes, we own Ocean Software, because Ocean Software is on the RoboCop cab, it's in the credits, it's on the artwork. So Atari have agreed that we can use the Ocean Software logo. So the final piece of the jigsaw was who owns RoboCop. So we spoke to Atari, no, we don't own it. D4 Data East don't own it. It's just D4 Enterprise. Going back to the community again, just briefly. So we were exhibiting at Gamescom in Germany, and this guy called Matteo, who's an Italian guy, lives in Japan, came on the stand, and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe Quarter Arcades, you're exhibiting here. Oh wow, I collect new wave toys and I collect Quarter Arcades. And we chatted for a bit. And he works in the video game industry in Japan, and we swapped numbers and promised to keep in touch. I couldn't find any contact details for D4 Enterprise. I thought they owned RoboCop license, but Data East were not interested in giving me the contact details or introducing us, and it was just a dead end. So I had 2/3 of the jigsaw solved. There was just one last piece: who owns the software? That's the critical part. And I was almost giving up. And I thought, you know what? I'll speak to Matteo, the guy that sort of bumped into us at Gamescom and just say, I'm at a dead end here with ROBOCOP. I'm this close to signing ROBOCOP. Do you know anyone at D4 Enterprise by any chance? He went, yeah, I know the chairman. There's his contact details and an introduction. So it's like, wow, the community helps again. So funny enough, I was talking to them yesterday about it, and the conversation was, yes, we own the rights. Are you interested in ROBOCOP, or do you want ROBOCOP 2 as well? There's a ROBOCOP 2? What is that? I never knew that. So it's like, wow, okay. So we sort of progressed the conversation. There's ROBOCOP, there's ROBOCOP 2, but they also did a Japanese version that was only ever released in Japan, a ROBOCOP cab. So what we're trying to do now is we want to release ROBOCOP 1. We might as well do ROBOCOP 2 whilst we're there, but we're also going to do the special edition Japanese version that was never seen outside of those waters. So fingers crossed, we'll have 3 ROBOCOP cabs, but worst case scenario, we should get at least the first one.
That's very cool. Now we're gonna ask Ben here about the upcoming cabinets that they have announced. They've announced 5. They've given us a 2-year roadmap essentially for their company, which is fantastic. But before we do that, I want to make sure, Restalgia, Detroit Love, did you have any other questions for Ben here?
I got one question. So I've noticed out of all the cabinets that you've released, they're all using joysticks. All the games primarily are joysticks buttons. Do you guys have any plans to release cabinets that would incorporate different types of controls, steering wheels, trackballs, spinners, things like that?
Lunar Lander. So
that's fair. Actually, yep, I didn't even think of that. I was looking at
Pong,
all the release ones.
Pong
as well.
Spinners,
so
yeah.
When we sign those licenses, I start getting flashbacks to Space Invaders. Well, Pong was made in the 1970s. It'll be easy. It's not going to be easy. And then you think, why are we doing a thruster? You know, we're going to punish ourselves with this. But if we've done Space Invaders, I think anything's possible. So yeah, we signed Lunar Lander. So that's going to be a tough one with the thruster, but we're confident we can do that. And Pong, as you know, has got the 2 metal dials. We want to do steering wheels as well. I think the driving games, Outrun and Sega Valley would obviously be the obvious ones, but I think the licensing issues, we're not going to do them initially. If I was to put money on a driving game, it would be Pole Position from Atari.
That'd be a tough one to do, though.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some licensing issues with that, because inside Pole Position, everybody wants Pole Position, but inside there's so many ads and different things, so you would actually have to modify the ROM so much. So there's a question on whether or not you want to do that, keep it as accurate as possible, or go out and get the rights to the ads that are in game.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so we haven't had that in-depth conversation with Atari. We briefly mooted it when we talked around Lunar Lander and Pong. But yeah, they said Pole Position is available, but let's talk about that further on down the line. So yeah. I don't know whether Atari are trying to clear rights for that themselves, maybe. But yeah, they were okay talking about it, but it wasn't one they wanted to put into this contract. So that could be why.
Well, Ben, I have a question for you. I want to know if you're going to make some quarter scale arcades. Michael, he wants to jump in here because he's practically a pinball channel now. But are there any hopes that you can get in touch with Scott Sloan here and replicate some of these beauties he's made over the years? Quarter scale pinball.
Are they real or are they VPing, Carl?
No. Those VPX machines.
Ugh.
Quarter scale.
Ugh.
But he does a fantastic job with creating these little things. Has that ever showed up on your radar to make a quarter scale pinball machine?
Not at this stage. We were too busy trying to fix Space Invaders to think about it.
Carl, the poor man, he's bled his heart out here about Space Invaders, and you just harass
him. But is that Adam's Family Values? Wow.
Adam's Family, yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's that is the one that I played the most growing up, was Adam's Family pinball.
Oh, well, let's make it happen, because now you want it on your desk.
You got to show this to your partner, man. You'll be making pinball machines.
that would be the one that we would do because I want it on my desk.
So I did want to just piggyback off Restalgia's question. Restalgia, you might have missed this. Some of us actually pay attention when our guests are speaking. You should try doing that sometimes. So you mentioned one of your first demo cabs you put out there was in fact Star Wars. And I imagine trying to do that like miniature flight yoke was a nightmare. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And are you really willing to do this again?
Yeah. It worked. It absolutely worked. It was so our creative director Carl Meisen is an absolute genius. So he actually made it. So we did it with a 3D printer with a Raspberry Pi, and yeah, it was fully working and playable. I'm trying to think. Because it was such a long time ago, we actually had to send it somewhere. So we sent it. I think it was. So we took it to the Disney UK offices. And then they had to send it off to America for them to say no, you can only have a UK license. And it came back and it was just in pieces. It was broken, like smashed to smithereens. And we were so upset with them about it that we're not talking to you ever again. You've broken this. It was painful opening that box, and it was just shattered. This Star Wars quarter scale replica that we'd made from hand, from scratch, and it was just broken.
Oh man,
hadn't packed it properly when they sent it.
Who was the shipper on that? Was that FedEx? Who was the carrier on that one? That's too funny. All right, so Ben, you made some waves with your fans all over Facebook every single day last week. It was nonstop. You announced a new arcade cabinet. So far, it's these 4 plus. Which one am I missing on here? Ghostbusters. So how do you think the overall response has been to these announcements? And also everyone in the live chat, give Ben your feedback. Type it in. Ben's going to watch this on replay. He wants to know what you think. Are you guys excited about these titles? Are you disappointed? Was there something else you wanted, or are you super hyped? Give us that feedback in the live chat, guys. Ben, what do you think the overall reaction to all these cabinets has been?
It's been interesting. So overall, very, very positive. I think I underestimated how much love there is for Ghostbusters, because I think, as you quite rightly point out, it's a big brand, but it's a crap cabinet.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a crap cabinet. It's a beautiful arcade cabinet. It's just not a great game.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's interesting. It's 3 players. So Winston wasn't on it either, which is very strange. That they only made it a 3-player, but there's 2 or 3 other versions out there. There's a 2-player version and a Proton Pack version as well that I've seen out there. But we're definitely going to be doing the 3-player version.
Poor Winston got a lot of disrespect in the video game world. He was also left off the Sega Mega Drive version of Ghostbusters as well. So
good fact. So yeah, overall the response has been fantastic. Pong's been the one that's made people sit on the fence, really has divided opinion. You've got people that really love, because that's where it all started, really. Yeah, that's where, that's the original OG. So that's why I wanted to do it. Pong, for me, is a household name. It's where it all started, so I think we want to pay homage to Pong. It's not going to be easy to do, but in terms of anticipation, it's right there at the bottom. People, some people say, oh, I must have it. It's part of gaming history. And others were like, it wasn't my era. Don't get it.
And now for me, Pong, definitely I would like to have, and they obviously, other companies have done Pong, and to this day, I haven't been able to get myself to buy their products yet. And I was just looking at that product. To me, it's just like those knobs are going to be so tiny to be able to be accurate with that. So I'll be interested to see what you guys are able to do with that. But Pong is definitely one I would be. Yeah. I definitely be interested in the Pong and Lunar Lander. That's one of the games I absolutely loved. Always was a difficult game to play. Not like RoboCop. RoboCop I think is ridiculously hard. But Lunar Lander, I'm definitely interested in Pong of those 4. Obviously, BurgerTime is the classic. I love some BurgerTime. But of those 4 that they just displayed, the 2 older ones, the ones I would be interested in.
So, Ben, I don't have to state this. Our community already knows this, but P-Dubs is a huge fan of Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. So,
God.
Me personally, I was really excited to see that.
I hate that
P-Dubs
game so much.
hates Bad Dudes for some reason. He's got a problem with it.
But-
I love Bad Dudes.
but-
I grew up
but-
on it, right?
But then Michael Bean and I got a chance to play it online co-op play, and we ended up. It was a great. It's great to play with a buddy. It's great to play with a buddy. But still, I'll be honest, Ben. Out of the ones that you announced, I am. Oh, here, let me take this off real quick because Ghostbusters isn't the one for me. For me personally, Ben, I'm super excited about Lunar Lander. I can't wait to see what you do with that one. I love Lunar Lander. I can't wait to see what that looks like. And BurgerTime, I can only imagine the little quarter scale with the chef-shaped arcade. I'm sure you'll do it justice. But I'll be honest, Lunar Lander for me, guys, is the one I'm most hyped about.
It's a tough
That's
game
a
to
fun.
play.
Yeah, it's a fun
Tough
game.
game.
It's
So,
very tough to play.
I did want to go back for a second and ask some questions about Ghostbusters, because Ghostbusters was such a huge announcement, and you guys got a bunch of coverage outside like the arcade space. There were Ghostbuster fans, like especially real Ghostbuster fans from the cartoon, that were super excited about it. How did that one come about? Because obviously G-Mode, everybody knows G-Mode is great to work with. They're like, you want games? We'll give them to you. How long's your company been in business? 20 minutes. Okay, we'll still give them to you. But did Sony get involved with this too? Because I would imagine they're involved with the rights. So do you want to explain that story to us a little bit?
Yeah, so it was Tato that introduced us to Data East many years ago, funny enough. So we were talking to them, and we could have signed it 4 or 5 years ago. But again, back to Space Invaders, we were Data East. And, let's do BurgerTime, let's do Ghostbusters, let's do Bad Dudes. And it's like, okay, get to contract stage. And we said, actually, we're going to finish Space Invaders. We'll be back in touch, and COVID and whatnot. So we picked up the conversation with them again.
Oh my God.
They have Ghostbusters in their stable, but they said, we don't own the rights. We only own 50%. We own the gameplay. So you need to speak to Sony Pictures. We've got a great relationship with Sony Pictures. We do lots of Ghostbusters products, as you can see in the background there. So there's 4 licenses that we needed to get Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, across the line. So we've got Data East. You've then got Sony Pictures for Ghostbusters, and then there's the sound effects and the music in there. And it's not particularly long, the music and the sound effects, but we have to go to Sony Music for another 2 contracts. So it's been difficult getting all the stars to align. But all 4 have come together, and we've managed to get it across the line.
Yeah, it's one of the complicated things too with the actual real Ghostbusters cartoon series is they use so much licensed music. So it's like a nightmare to put that out on DVD or for anybody to get copies of it, because they've got to go back and license the music too. But I mean, modern day, they can just take stuff out, but it was so iconic to the show. So I can understand you want to have it for the arcade as well.
And it's a real challenge. So, we're not used to dealing with music publishing houses. But the first time we did was for Track and Field, because we licensed there's Chariots of Fire at the end of Track and Field. So when the game finishes, it plays Chariots of Fire at the end of the credits. So we had to go and find who owns Chariots of Fire for it. It was BMG. But a lot of these music publishers don't know they own the rights or what's in it. So we had to explain to Sony Music what we're asking for, and we had to send them YouTube clips of the actual clips and where it plays, and within the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters arcade cabinet, where it featured, how long it was for, etc. And then the sort of money that they deal. So Sony Music are doing multi-million-pound deals, and then we're coming saying, can we give you $5,000 for that? I'll always take out of bed for that. So that was a challenge as well, piquing their interest. But because Sony Pictures have agreed to do the cabinet, then they're obliged to license the music. But it wasn't a priority for them.
Real quick, Ben, throughout the show tonight, we've had several people ask about Punisher. What are your thoughts about Punisher? Because other people in the space, like Arcade 1UP, says they can't do Punisher anymore. What are your thoughts about Punisher?
Who's Punisher by?
Capcom.
Yep.
Capcom. It's not a question we've asked, but certainly I'll make a note of that, and we'll go away and ask.
And we're not 100% sure if they can't do Punisher anymore, if it was a wild story told to us. We were told with the violence involved in the Punisher game, they didn't want it attached to the other Marvel fighting games, which it just is the weirdest story ever. I just don't know what's going on there. I don't think it's an issue with Capcom and Marvel not wanting to do it. I don't know what's going on.
But Punisher is a great game. Punisher is one
incredible.
of the few side-scrolling beat 'em ups that I absolutely love, and I would definitely play it on your cabinet, even at the side all the way through. It's one of those games you can actually finish, which makes it a gem as well.
Big Black,
I
Zero Redux, Big Black.
I like when I see Ben write these suggestions from the viewers down, and Ben, maybe he's just making a smiley face on his doodle. but he's doing it, guys. He's writing it down. It's actually going to happen. He's taking your feedback seriously. Restalgia, do me a favor because you've been a little quiet tonight. Try not to embarrass yourself, which I totally understand. But can you handle this super chat for Ezekiel? It's been sitting around for a while.
Yep. So $4.99. It says, "Hey dudes and Ben, if you make a big blue Capcom cabinet, I will buy 10. Also, a big black Punisher. I will 10 of those. Thanks."
There you go. So Ben, that's more stuff to write down on your pad.
Ben's pad, he's just like writing down like pick up tomatoes.
He has a grocery list.
If I could get your credit card details for those 10 units, please.
He wants your credit card number. Oh, that's too funny. I like Primal Rage. We got requests from Primal Rage here, guys. Since Ben's got his magic pen out, he's taking suggestions. Throw your game suggestions in the live chat. Maybe we can give him a little carpal tunnel here.
Robot Ron 2084. Let's make it happen.
Yep.
Robotron 2084.
Alien versus Predator. We got a request for that one.
Yeah, that's in the Disney stable, isn't it now? With the 20th Century Fox, so Aliens.
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. They put it on the Capcom home arcade stick a couple of years ago, so it should be easy to get.
What do you think? We got Spy Hunter here from Zero Redux, which is great, but also this is interesting. No one has done Paperboy justice yet in this space. Could you actually make a little quarter scale like bike handle? Could you do it?
It's possible. You have to think. The durability might be an issue. So we have to think about that one. I've seen the Jungle Kings has come up there, so that's in the chat. That's a hard no.
That's a hard no.
Hard no, yeah. I think it used to be called Jungle Hunt, didn't it? It's one and the same. Jungle Hunt and Jungle King's one and the same. Thing.
It used to be called Jungle King, and then they had to change it because it was too close to Tarzan.
Yeah. So that's a Taito cab. Hard no.
I'm never doing Taito again. Scar tissue from Taito.
No, I think there was some racist connotations in there. So
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a big.
Just not happening. Never.
Not happening. No.
We got a member here, Goofyfoot. He says, "I will sell my complete New Wave Toys collection for a 1/4 Gorf cabinet." Now, he might not see your answer because he's getting slammed with ads, apparently. But in case he does tune in, what about Gorf? Is there a chance you could do Gorf?
I've never heard of Gorf.
What? You got to check out Gorf. Get to the arcade, check out Gorf.
I'm wondering whether you guys got some more cabs than what we got in Europe.
Oh,
it's possible.
Our houses were bigger.
Yeah,
at our arcade. I'm just kidding. You'll have to watch 30 minutes ago for that joke, everybody. Speaking of Capcom, I think this is another Capcom game, right? Black Tiger. That's a fun game. So if you're
I've never heard of Black Tiger.
If you're going back to Capcom, that's a
wow.
fun game. So we got a $5 super chat from the Game Room Guru. He wants to know if Robotron is linkable, how many will Michael be?
Why would Robotron be linkable? It's a one-player game.
Yeah.
Well, one person get to do the one joystick and the other one does the other. Now, Ben, while they're looking at the comments, you talked about pole position. That's one I absolutely would love to have it. I don't think it's going to be that playable, period. But the sound, that's one of the sound effects. There's few cabinets that when you just hear that sound, it just takes you back into the arcades. And pole position for me is that cabinet. It's like I just love the sound effects of that cabinet. Love to have it in my on display just to turn it on and hear the sound.
We've also gotten, Ben, several requests for Sinistar as well. Sinistar is a super fun game.
Yeah, that's another one that has the sound effects.
Laundry detergent.
And you know what? This actually might be one of the best questions I've seen in the live chat tonight. So we recently had New Wave Toys on, and Shiloh mentioned to us, because some people missed out. Like, they missed out on you when you first came out, and they're just hearing about you now. And now they have to go on eBay and pay ridiculous prices for the older cabinets. And they've had a lot of requests, like New Wave Toys has, and I'm sure you have as well, to re-release these micro cabinets to give new owners a chance to buy them. And New Wave Toys told us we're not interested in doing that because it kind of devalues the whole collector aspect of the limited run of these things. But where does Numskull stand? Will you re-release Galaga, Pac-Man, like all the ones you've done before that, you know, people might be looking for now?
Yeah, 100% we will. The one that we probably can't do is Pac-Man. We restricted that to 10,000 units as a collector's edition. That was the first one we did. So that one's off the table, but all the others we will go back. We're actually re-releasing Bubble Bobble. So we did a limited run of that when that first came out, but because we're doing the Tato cabs again shortly, we will release Bubble Bobble again.
And that's a shame too, because I have the Pac-Man with the collector with the coin, and I had it on top of my one of my other cabinets, and I forgot it was up there. I moved it and it smashed the smithereens. I was able to put it back together, but now it looks like a real 30 to 40-year-old cabinet now because it's got some love. Some love marks on it. So I guess since it's not going to be released, I'll have to look at the Miss Pac-Man. Then you will re-release the Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, we'll go back and re-release the ones that we've previously done, so that, you know, there's some of them are on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money. You know, people are block buying 3, 4, 5 cabinets and then, you know, holding on to them and scalping them. So, you know, we want our quarter arcades to be affordable and available to everyone. So
scalpers are the worst. Like, Ben, tell us honestly, how many times did you put a cabinet up for pre-order and 4 or 5 orders went to Steven Restalgia? I mean, we know he was the one scalping these things. Oh wait, hold on. We're supposed to be nice to Restalgia tonight. I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah. We also did the signed version. So we did the signed Pac-Man for the 40th anniversary. I mean, that's now going on eBay for ridiculous money. Space Invaders, we've released 78 signed cabinets signed by Mr. Space Invaders himself. So yeah, these are the ones that the scalpers are going to be putting on eBay for insane money.
That sucks, but I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, we did limit the amount that people could buy. So it was one cabinet. So, you know, so people couldn't buy 3 or 4 signed editions. We did limit it to 1 per household.
Andy's Game Room, he said he didn't know what Gorf was. He's going to look into it. And I hope you don't miss this for an ad. But if you do, feel free to ask us again.
Yeah,
there it is. Yeah.
There you go. There's Gorf.
Light stick.
I've honestly never seen this cabinet.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, yes. Midway as well. Perhaps it just wasn't part of my childhood.
And that's the thing with arcades. Arcades, we played the games that were available to us, and you just aren't going to know about which, you know, unless you were in a big city where you have a lot of choices.
As we've gone through all of the licenses, so for instance, Universal Entertainment did 19 cabinets. So you think, you know, there's got to be hundreds. So all of these arcade bars and places we used to go, you wouldn't have had all the cabinets. You'd have had to go to numerous different ones to get a play on all of these games, fantastic games that are out there. But it's interesting. So Universal Entertainment was a Japanese company. They did, obviously, Mr. Do was probably one of the most popular ones, and Ladybug. But that's now owned by Microsoft. So it's passed through. I don't know how, but Universal Entertainment somehow became owned by Vivendi, and I don't know how. As you know, Vivendi were purchased by Activision, and we had a conversation with Activision 2 or 3 years ago about these cabinets, and they didn't quite understand what they owned. They knew they owned the brand Mr. Do, but they didn't know who owned the artwork and who owned the software. So it was a non-starter for them. You know, Activision is an $8 billion company, so getting a license on these 19 cabs was just, they just don't know. I know I own the brand. I don't quite know what else I own. And unless it's going to be a substantial amount of money, we're not going to get the lawyers to go digging into the history to find out what's happened with these rights as it's been passed from company to company to company to company. So some of these cabs are going to be lost forever.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. And now Microsoft owns Activision. So again, are Microsoft, do they have any interest in finding out who owns Mr. Do rights? You know, who owns the music, the sound effects, the gameplay, the artwork? Do they have any aspirations to do that? I don't know.
So you've given us some, I mean, you've revealed a lot. This has been fantastic. We appreciate your transparency. I'm sure your customers do. You've already officially announced 5. You let people know that you're looking into RoboCop. You're talking with Nintendo, Ladybug. Wasn't there something going on with track and field? Wasn't there a track and field story earlier tonight, about an hour ago? We brought it up and said we'll talk about it, and here we are an hour later. Ben, what's the track and field situation?
Yeah, so it was one of the first prototypes we did. So we actually have a working handmade sample. It was, as I said, we did Star Wars, Track and Field, and Street Fighter 2. So we showed it to Konami, and we got the license. We signed the contract. I went off and found Chariots of Fire music with BMG. And again, we signed the contract to make sure that it was going to be authentic, the original music. And then what we have to do is, once you've traced all the artwork, so Konami didn't give us the artwork or anything, no ROMs, no one does really.
Cool Toy has the ROMs.
Yeah. So we have to go and get all this together, and then we send it off to Konami Japan, and the feedback came back. Thank you for this, but you can't do the artwork. Well, no, you can't use the artwork. Well, no, we can. We've signed a contract. No, you can't use the art. You can change the artwork, but you can't use that artwork. Well, no, that defeats the purpose. You know.
Yeah.
We've signed Track and Field. We want to use the artwork, and it was a hard, guys. We don't own the artwork. We're talking to the guy that owns it and who did it. But no, at the moment, if you want to release that cabinet, you have to change the artwork. So we went to the community and said, here's your options. We wait until Konami clear the rights, or we can change it and do our own version. What do you want? And there was a hard wait for the original artwork. And there's also Hypersports as well, if I remember, was similar. And again, it was the same guy who did the artwork. We offered to step in, so we said to Konami, because it was going on for months and months and months, and we said, can we speak to the guy direct? Can we cut a deal with him ourselves? And you can sort of step out of the way. And no, we need to get these rights back, so we're going to do it. And that was 5-6 years ago.
Wow.
So Arcade 1-Up was rumored to possibly be releasing a track and field cabinet, and I have a very, very strong feeling that 90% of users will break their cabinet immediately once they try to start slamming those buttons on the Arcade 1-Up cab. But they actually had a really weird experience with Konami as well, because they did a Frogger cabinet, and the Frogger art on the original cabinet was actually owned by SEGA. So when Arcade 1-Up released Frogger, they couldn't use the original art, and everybody hated it. And I don't know what it is with Konami. It seems to be a weird thing with art. They've rebranded Frogger. They've got the new art they put on the Arcade 1-Up cabinet. They also used it with their My Arcade release, or whatever company released that cabinet. Like, they are just hard-nosed about getting the art from the original owners or whatever it is. And like, they don't understand the nostalgia for a company like this. Like, if you guys ever did a Frogger cab, you'd never do it without the original art. And I mean, that's the way it should be done.
Yeah. No,
Nope.
I agree. The ownership of Frog is slightly different as well. It's not the Konami office that we normally deal with. It's a separate office in New York, a sidearm.
A Frogger specific arm?
Yeah. Yeah. There's certain brands with the Konami stable that sit at certain places, and Frogger sits in with a separate company in New York. And I don't know whether they purchased the rights to Frogger many years ago, but it's the part of the Konami family, but they don't sit in the Konami office.
Interesting.
Konami's the most confusing company ever. Just go your own way, make your pachinko machines, and sell off the rights to somebody else so we can enjoy these games.
It's a strange. So I think I said earlier, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, no one that was making these cabinets thought in 30 years' time, let's save that ROM, let's save the artwork, because somebody's going to go and do something with it in the future. So a lot of it changes hands, years after years. Companies get brought out, companies go into administration. It just changes hands multiple times, and then it becomes very murky and who owns what and who doesn't own what. And I think a lot of companies play safe. So I think Konami probably look at track and field artwork and say, we could release it, but what's the lawsuit?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Could happen. And if you're not confident, do you know what? Unless the money's significant, which it's not, Konami are making more monies out of hotels than they are out of video games. Why are we going to put ourselves through this problem? It's not
slippery. Slippery
slope.
slope.
We're not going to do 10,000 track and field machines, say for instance. Why are we going to put ourselves through this lawsuit? Not worth it.
Restalgia, I've been hogging the mic a bunch tonight. You want to take care of this super chat for Ezekiel? This is actually a great question for Ben.
Yeah, $4.99. So Ben, have you considered a Kickstarter type of idea for cabinets that the license is expensive for?
Yeah, it's interesting. So Kickstarter divides opinion. My opinion is it's a good marketing platform to get your product out there. Mm-hmm. Some license holders see it as a begging bowl, and I don't on there.
Yeah.
So prime example is when we did Pac-Man. When we first did Pac-Man, we said to Namco, "Look, we want to get the news out there, and I think if we go on Kickstarter and say we're going to do a quarter scale replica Pac-Man machine, it's going to go bananas, and people, we could get millions of dollars here." And the answer was hard no. Our Pac-Man brand does not go on a pledge site. Okay, I get it. I think that's changed slightly. I think some companies' stances have changed now. I think the Pac-Man products have been on there since they said hard no. But certain brands just do not want to be on there. But I personally, I don't know what you guys think. For me, Kickstarter is a marketing platform that brings great ideas to life. And I think
so, yeah.
Should be on there, but
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing that it's funny because people will shit on Kickstarter, but you turn around and support something like Hasbro HasLabs, and they're like, well, it's Hasbro doing it, so it's totally cool. So it's always funny in that essence. So even if you did something in-house, maybe you could get around the Kickstarter issue that maybe a fan base or licensors would have, make it a very special thing. So that would be an idea too. Do your own Kickstarter in-house.
Yeah, that's a good shout. We did a book recently on Kickstarter. We did electronic tabletops. So again, my business partner is a massive electronic tabletop fan. I don't think it was as popular in North America as it was in Europe. Electronic tabletop games.
Oh yeah, the little handheld games. I don't remember them. I don't remember them that much. I remember seeing them in movies from like the 80s and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we launched a book on Kickstarter a few months ago, and it passed, it sailed through. So we're launching our first book, and we're also going to be doing Numskull books around arcades, the history of arcades.
Oh, that's cool.
It's actually really cool.
That's so that will be on Kickstarter. We'll be launching that. We're going to get this one out first. So the book's written already, volume 1. So we're doing it in eras and years.
Nice.
So there'll be three volumes, but it celebrates the cabinets, the artwork, and these cabinets, the button configurations, etc., and a backstory about how the game came to be. So we're really excited about that. We're working with a really talented writer. We go into lots of arcades, doing lots of photography. So I'll share the details with you when it's ready to be announced. But yeah, we're celebrating the history of and the passion of arcades in 3 volumes. Volume 1 will be in early 2024.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Very
I'm
cool.
excited about that, guys. I think that's a really cool idea. That's really cool. Now, Ben, since we're getting near the very end of the show here, and we've kept you a very long time, guys.
Yeah, it's okay. It's only like 4 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's only 4 o'clock. I'm sure Ben wants to get some sleep, but Ben.
Wimps.
So a couple quick things. Number one, you've been so transparent with us, and we greatly appreciate it. And we'd hate to sound like greedy little children and ask for more, but is there any other teases? Anything else you want to let people know about what? I mean, you've teased us plenty about probably a couple titles, but is there anything else you want people to be aware of when they think, Numskull doesn't have it going on, but there might be something soon?
Well, the other ones that we've probably not mentioned that we are talking about, well, we've got the USB hub, so we're doing Pepsi and 7-Up, which has been announced. So they're coming. Right. They'll be shipping in February, March. We announce pre-order first week of December. So we're keen for people to get Space Invaders in their hands first, and then go, right, now we're ready to start more pre-order campaigns. So we're launching the Pepsi and 7-Up pre-order campaigns, first week of December. The other cabinets that we are talking about is with KONAMI again. Sunset Riders isn't going to happen. There's an artwork and audio issue there. Again, unfortunately, they don't know who owns the rights for the artwork or the audio. So Sunset Riders, which is a shame because it's the same cabinet as Turtles.
Exact same, yeah.
What to reskin. So we're persevering, but I don't think that's going to happen. Vendetta is another one that we're trying. Same issue with artwork. Frogger, as you've alluded to, there's unless we can do the original artwork, we won't be doing that.
There's a musical issue with Frogger as well.
Okay. The other one that probably could happen is BUCKY O'Hare.
Oh, that is awesome!
So there's a bit more to navigate. There's a dual license with Abrams, and the music is with Starwild. So we're just got to navigate these things with these people. But that's one that could come to life, is BUCKY O'Hare.
Wow.
Oh, that is so cool.
And Ben, I have a question for you. So we know the licensing are complicated. We know that, getting the music rights and all these things. If all those things were not an issue, what is the cabinet what's your dream cabinet that you would love to create that if all these things weren't an issue, you would make today?
There's 3 cabinets that I think are from the Promised Land: Star Wars, The Simpsons, Donkey Kong, and actually I'm going to say a 4th one, Tron.
Okay.
Ooh.
Very cool.
Those would be my 4 if I could.
And how many of those are you going to make? No one's listening but us. No one's here but us. It's just the 5 of us.
I would love to see you do a real Tron. I had a real Tron cabinet just a little while ago, and like the real arcade is so hard to keep running. Like it's one of the most difficult arcades. And if you want to talk about lighting effects and problems you're going to have, Tron is going to give you Space Invader flashbacks. Trust me. But I would love to see you do it. It'd be so cool.
It would look awesome, for sure.
What would be your top 3 wish list, guys?
For me, Hubert.
Yeah, I've got my pen handy, by the way.
Yeah, Hubert. Smash TV, not Robotron, because Smash TV is better. And Hubert, Smash TV.
You son of a bitch.
I'll jump in here.
Go ahead.
Golden Axe, Revenge of Death Adder, probably number 1. If you had unlimited access to licenses, I would love to see a Crazy Taxi cabinet with like the Offspring soundtrack and like all the actual music. That'd be pretty incredible. And then another racing cabinet, the Cruisin' series. I don't care which one. Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' the World, Cruisin' Exotica. You can make your choice. I will take any of the three. Those are my dream team.
Carl, you go next. I'll take up the rear.
No problem, because I don't go in that area. Ben, I would love Donkey Kong Jr. Either one of those two would be my top. Definitely Tekken would be a cabinet I would love to have. And this is a cabinet I don't really play. I just did a mod on it, so I play it more now. But it would be awesome to have a Star Wars cabinet in that in your form factor. I think a lot of collectors would love to have that on the shelf, and to be actually be able to play it with the yoke would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Robotron 2084 is, in my opinion, probably one of the most perfect arcade cabinets of all time. One of the most perfect games. Of course, Donkey Kong. And I'm just going to go off because this is not a piece of arcade history. I just absolutely love this game. It's another KONAMI game, another dual license, G.I. Joe, the arcade game. I absolutely love it.
There you go.
If we're doing an honorable mention, then Soul Calibur. I'd love to see that too.
Yeah, I would love to see Soul Calibur.
Was there a Soul Calibur arcade cabinet?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure there was. There was definitely a coin-operated Soul Calibur machine.
Soul Calibur or Soul Edge or Soul Blade?
I think Soul Calibur. I think there's a Soul Calibur 2 as well.
Yes, on consoles. Do you want them to make consoles?
Just not in Canada.
But no, I think there was arcade machines too. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Well, Ben, you've been an amazing guest tonight, man. We really appreciate the stories, the transparency. You've given me more confidence in Numskull and where you guys are heading, what's coming out, because there's a lot of us who were like, the minute you guys were like, we're switching to plastic, you remember that? Like, a lot of us were like, are they going to survive? And it sounds like you're going to make it. You got products shipping out in a couple of weeks. You got more products coming out in a couple of months. You've announced a 2-year roadmap. Like, I think things are looking good. Like, honestly, you've given me a lot of confidence here. Also, if you ever meet Shiloh from New Wave Toys, just take him out for pierogies. You guys will become best friends, and maybe we'll see a combination of forces in a future collaboration or something.
We're big fans of New Wave Toys. We said, we love what they do. Say with Arcade One Up, we're big fans of what these guys do. We're all in the same space, and we're all helping pioneer and preserve a lot of the gaming nostalgia and gaming history. So kudos to Shiloh, what he's doing over there. Kudos to the Arcade One Up guys.
But
yeah, I mean, with the industry in general going into everything's digital, right? And they don't want to have these physical things anymore. To be able to capture history and have it where someone can have these things, man, it's just there's just no words for that type of thing. And for it to be exact and to be perfect and to be playable, hats off to you guys for making these things possible for people to purchase and enjoy.
Thank you. No, it is a passion project. I was saying to someone the other day, it's not a sustainable business. If a venture capitalist came in and looked at what you're doing, you say, how many man hours do you spend on this? Really? This is insane. But it's part of something that we do. So it's not our bread and butter, as in it's not a business that we have to do, but we do it because we love arcades. I think there's a business there, and I think in now Space Invaders is out the way. We're going to come out and release a lot more cabs and have a lot more focus and attention on what we're doing with it. Space Invaders really did hold us back, so we are really.
Ben, I gotta tell you, man. Every time you mention Space Invaders, it's like a mixture of anger and just relief when the damn thing's coming out. Like, it's shipping next week. I'm over it. Here's your cabinets. Get out of here. Never again. Like it's been hilarious watching you throughout this broadcast. Like it's like anger, but also it's shipping next week. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's
No,
hilarious.
Like there's like a double-edged sword there. There's a sense of you can sense how proud you are of the work that you did and what you've
Accomplishment.
created, 100%. But a lot of it, a lot of it is again that thing like. It's almost like not to be morbid, but like in your eulogy, it's going to be like great man, loved people, wonderful at his work. Really wishes he didn't do Space Invaders.
That's so true. Well, Ben, we're going to give you a chance here to give your final thoughts to the viewers in the live chat. We've had several hundred people watching this broadcast throughout the evening, and a couple thousand more watch it on replay. And then after he's done, Carl just sent them on their way. It's been 2 hours. So Ben, final thoughts. What do you want to tell people about Numskull? Final thoughts.
Firstly, guys, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. It's been great to meet you all for the first time. What I was going to say is thanks for everyone's support to date. Thanks for sticking with us with Space Invaders. I know it's not been easy. I think you can see in my face how much it's I love you and I hate you, Space Invaders project. Really, honestly, we really do appreciate all the feedback, all the help we get with Quarter Arcades. Keep following us. Follow our Facebook page if you can, because there's so many more announcements and products coming over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And feel free to put in that Facebook group which ones you want to see next, and we'll try our best to get that license for you.
Excellent. All right,
Well,
Carl. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Ben. We appreciate you, man. Before you go, in the chat, can you let me know where those full-site prototype machines are? I have an eBay account I want to use. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the web.